Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Retired Guy's Garage. Well, what we got today that we're going to be working on is a 1987 Club Car DS. Now this is the electric variety, so not a gas, so a little out of my element on this one because I don't normally work on electric ones, but my neighbor up the road called, got in touch and said, hey, listen, man, he said, I put brand new batteries in this thing and it ran great. For a couple of weeks, it ran great. Couple of months actually. He said, ran great. He said, but man, he said, all of a sudden I was riding it the other day and poof, it just stopped dead in its tracks. Think you take a look at it for me? I said, sure, let's bring it on down. So he hopped on his four-wheeler, we hooked up a tow rope and brought it on down here. So my initial reaction was that it may have burned up the motor. That was just my initial reaction. But after some further digging and looking and figuring and all that kind of good stuff, it looks like it might be, now this is one of the older styles, so there's no controller, no fancy electronic controller in this one like the newer DS's are. This is just a basic 48 volt Club Car DS. It's got 6 8-volt batteries in it and a series of relays behind the batteries with a whole big old resistor coil behind those relays. So dug into a little bit, and it looks like what it more than likely is going to be the problem is, and I'll bring in here a little bit closer in a second, but it looks like this very first relay goes bad and won't power the rest of the relays. So give me just a couple of minutes here and I'll get the camera reset and I'll get you in here and show you what I'm talking about. Stick with me, I'll be right back. All right, we're back. So you can see down here where these relays are, and this is what feeds power to the motor, the drive motor. So what we're going to do is we're going to bypass this main relay. Okay, so this is your main hotline coming in. I'll double check that just to make sure, but I'm fairly certain that this is the main hotline coming in, generally on the driver's side of the cart. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bypass this. I'm going to take a jumper wire and I'm going to jump from this bus bar to this coil, to this terminal of the solenoid, and when we mash the old gas pedal there, this thing should move, which is definitely going to tell me that this relay is bad. So, and then we'll give the neighbor a call and see if he wants to fix it. It's a fairly simple repair if that's what's wrong with it, and a fairly inexpensive repair compared to a motor. Motor's going to run you, for an electric 48 volt motor, is going to run you about $550 or so, and this is about a tenth of that. That solenoid is probably less than a tenth of it. That solenoid is probably going to run about $35 or $40 from the old Amazon website. So, you know, for the amount of money I spend on Amazon, I should really be getting a sponsorship from them, I think. Yeah, probably not. We both know that's not going to happen. Anyway, so let me get a jumper wire made real quick, and we'll jump across that solenoid and see if this thing wants to move. Stick with me and I'll be right back. So what I did was I had an old golf cart battery cable in my bag of tricks in the shed, and I just went ahead and jumped across this, jumped across the relay to see what happens. You don't have to get this fancy. This is just something I had already, but you know, you can just get a fairly thick wire with a pair of, with a couple of alligator clips on it, and then that way you don't have to disconnect both, take the nuts off or anything like that. But this is just the way I did it, but more than one way to skin a cat, as the saying goes. So I've got the key on. Let's put it in reverse and let's see what happens. All right, so she moves. So that is clearly the cause of the issue. So we'll go ahead and get a solenoid ordered. I'll talk to the neighbor and see if he maybe wants to replace all the solenoids at once. I don't know, or if he just wants to replace the one. So stick with me and we'll come back to this in a day or so, and we'll get that solenoid and get that in, and we'll get him back on the road. Stay with me. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Retired Guy's Garage. All right. Well, we finally got some parts in, and of course I forgot to grab it off the porch. For this golf cart, this club car golf cart that we need to replace the solenoid in to get it to go backy and forwards. So, if you remember in the first part of the video, we jumped across the solenoid with a battery cable, with a golf cart battery cable, and got it working. So we're going to go ahead today, get this solenoid in, and get it back to my neighbor so he can be out buzzing around in the neighborhood like he enjoys. All right, stick with me. Let me get the camera repositioned, and let's get started on this. Stick with me. Just to speed things up a little bit, off camera, went ahead and took all the nuts off, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nuts off of the bus bar. This is called bus bar. So it connects all the terminal sides of the solenoids together. And I've gone ahead and loosened up the trigger wires, trip wires. Gonna blow, Scotty. The trigger wires. Hopefully those will come off without any issues. They're a little rusty, so let's see what happens. Okay. Don't mind the dogs barking. I'm sure a leaf blew through in the backyard or some such thing that they're barking at. Alright, so we've got all the wires off of it. Now we're just going to figure out what size socket we need for these bottom bolts. And 3/8 would not be it. So probably 7/16. So I'll go ahead and grab one of those. All right, stick with me. I'll be right back. So I've got the gone ahead and gotten all the bolts off of the hold down bolts off the solenoid that hold it to the cart. So this is going to pop right out of here. Okay, we're going to drop that new solenoid into place. We'll have to reuse the old nuts that hold that solenoid into place. And we're going to have to reuse one of the nuts off of the solenoid, the old solenoid as well, because as you can see, all of the solenoids have a spacer nut below that bus bar, so we'll have to reuse that one. Okay, ran these down with a nut driver. That is, of course, not tight. Just kind of ran them down there so I didn't have to be ratcheting for days. A little snug. Ratchet, there we go. Alright. Go ahead and get this nut off of the and of course the new solenoid comes with all new hell, that is not the same thread. Great. Interesting. Looks like they may have given me an extra nut, so there we go. This is actually a golf cart solenoid, so I'm going to assume that they knew I was going to need that extra nut. All right, so that is in. We'll connect the positive, and they do, like I said, they do give you all new nuts and lock washers and that type of stuff with this new solenoid. So okay. That's good and tight. There we go. Looks like this might be a different size. Okay, want to make sure you're very careful with any smaller terminals because those will snap in a heartbeat. So they don't have to be super tight. Just make sure you give them the wiggle test and make sure they don't move around, and those will be fine. All right, we'll go ahead and put the bus bar back in place. Of course, remember the threads on the new solenoid are a little bit different than the old one, so we'll have to use the new nut on that solenoid. And again, no need for, half-inch breaker bar and 3-foot pipe on these. All right. let me clean up my mess, and let's go take it for a ride. Hopefully it works. Fingers crossed. As y'all remember, before we replaced that solenoid, when we hit that long rectangular one on the right, it did move. So let's see if it does now. And there we go. It's backwards and forwards. All right. So be right back and we'll finish it up. Well, that is going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you learned something today. And in the first part of the video, not that complicated of a repair at all. Just got to make sure you diagnose it properly. This is one of the older ones, so you don't have to worry about trying to figure out, oh, is it a controller, is it the motor, is it the, this, to that, to this. Basically there's just 5 solenoids in there and an accelerator switch and a forward reverse switch. So, but I'll leave a link to the part I put in down below. Got it off Amazon. I think it was $13-ish, $14 maybe with tax. So fairly inexpensive repair, and very few hand tools necessary. 7/16 wrench, half-inch wrench. I'm sorry, I didn't even use a 7/16 wrench. Half-inch wrench, a 7/16 socket, and a 3/8 inch socket, and a ratchet, and that was all I needed to put it in. So of course, having that golf cart battery, extra battery cable laying around, that was help. Didn't have to mess around with a small jumper wire to be able to jump across that solenoid and check it to make sure that that was definitely a problem. So that did help. That certainly did help. Alrighty then. Apparently, the minute I get on microphone is apparently the time for the school buses and a lot of cars and whatnot. Anyway, so sincerely hope you enjoyed watching the video as much as I enjoyed making it for you, and thank you all so much for the support and the love you've shown on this channel. We couldn't do it without you and without your support. So again, I know I say it in every video, but I sincerely mean it. Thank you so much. As always, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and share button, and I look forward to reading your comments. So if there's something you would have done differently, or something you would you wouldn't have done or did that I didn't do, did or didn't do, feel free to comment below. I read every one of the comments and I respond to them as quickly as I can. I've been a little lax. There's a couple I need to respond to that are a little older, but I promise you I do. I read them all, and I do respond to them as I can. So you can catch me on social media, make sure you check me out on Facebook, Instagram, or of course right here on YouTube at The Retired Guy's Garage. Most recently on X or Twitter at TRGG2024. And if you want to send me an email, be happy to listen to that. If you have something you don't want us to leave in the comments, shoot me an email at trgg2024 at gmail.com. trgg2024 at gmail.com. As always, thank you all so much for watching this and subscribing and supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. And that's going to do it for now. Appreciate you watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Until then, be safe and take care. Bye for now.